Hey guys, if you're watching this, then chances are you're considering a coding bootcamp this year. Maybe you're itching to break into the tech career as a software engineer, or you're stuck in a job you don't love. You're looking at a career switch. I get it. Tech is exciting, high salaries, remote jobs, building stuff of your own, seeing it come to life, great work opportunities across different industries, creative problem solving, and the likes, yeah? And coding bootcamps tend to promise a fast track. Learn in just a few months, 3 to 6 months, what a computer science degree may take 4 to 5 years to teach. It sounds almost too good to be true, right? Before we dive in, let me set the stage with a quick personal note. I'm speaking from first experience here. I've been on both sides. I've spent a year learning to code myself, more on that in a second. And I even co-founded a coding bootcamp myself because I've seen the appeal to it, and it's called Sigma School. So trust me, I've seen the dream scenarios and the horror stories working with hundreds of students and up to 50 hiring partners who are actively hiring from our company. My goal today is to educate and empower you, and whether or not you end up joining a coding bootcamp, that's completely up to you. My goal here is so that you know what to expect and how to make the most out of it. So now let's talk a little bit about you. Why are so many people like yourself considering this path? Here's what I've observed, right? You want to get into tech fast, right? You're not looking to spend 4 to 5 years in a CS degree. You want that developer job in 6 months or less, if possible. Bootcamps advertise exactly that, right? Intensive 8 to 14 weeks programs, depending on the bootcamp, that can transform you from a complete newbie to a hireable coder, like a coder that people would pay money for. So according to Course Report, the average bootcamp here is 14 weeks long and promises to teach you the skills to land a job quickly. It's basically a sprint instead of a marathon. Number 2, you're willing to invest and sacrifice. A lot of bootcamp students that I've met have decided, okay, I'm going to quit my job for and pause my life for a few months. Take a pause. Take a short breather, right? Focus 100% on learning and come out the other side ready to job hunt. They accept that for maybe 3 months for the bootcamp plus around 3 months-ish of job searching time, they might have no salary coming in, and that's an extremely big commitment financially and mentally. So we're going to talk a bit about the money factor. Or maybe path number 3 is that you crave a structured, guided path. Not everyone thrives in self-learning. Maybe you've tried online courses or YouTube tutorials and you felt overwhelmed or unmotivated. A bootcamp provides a curriculum, instructors, mentors, and deadlines, and it's like having a personal trainer for coding. And since you're paying for it, you're extra motivated to not slack off and to make it work. So these are all valid reasons. Tech can be life-changing. I know people who went from zero coding knowledge to solid developer jobs through bootcamps. I've seen hundreds of success stories. It's absolutely possible. In fact, there's a website called nocsdegree.com that literally just talks about this, but it's not guaranteed, right? And it's definitely not easy. So let's break this down with some first principles thinking and a healthy dose of reality checks. Let me share a bit of my story because it will give you some context to why I believe what I do about bootcamps today. A few years ago, I decided to learn how to code. I dove into online resources. I've learned the basics of Python and JavaScript and Ruby and Rails, and eventually I settled with frameworks like Vue.js and React. I even dabbled in backend tools like Express.js, and I've used services like Supabase and Hasura and Google Cloud and GCP. And my initial plan was to become a software engineer myself. The bet here, the idea here is if I'm able to build a startup and monetize based on the startup, that's great, right? But if I do fail, well, it's okay because at the end of the day, I will have really monetizable skill that allows me to work remotely, to build things myself, and to get hired in a respectable, trusted job. But spoiler alert, I did not end up as a full-time software engineer at a big tech company. Life took a different turn for me in a very good way. I started doing software projects and I realized that with the coding skills that I had, I could communicate better with developers that I've hired. I could understand how to architect solutions and basically turn ideas into prototypes really quickly. I even had a CTO partner with me for a few projects, and learning coding actually helped me work with him so much better, where I could focus my time on driving the business forward. And eventually I co-founded a coding bootcamp, Sigma School, to teach others because of the demand, the lack of supply of good developers, and we needed to train our own pipeline of developers. So that's how we started off with Sigma School. So yeah, no, I'm not a Google engineer. I absolutely do not regret learning how to code because understanding code is like having a superpower in today's world. Even in the era of AI, knowing how software is built and how to build software gives you an edge. One of my role models, investor Naval Ravikant, he often talks about code as a form of leverage. You write a piece of software once and it runs millions of times, creating value while you sleep to millions of users. Learning to code gives you that perspective and capability. It's helped me build products, scale businesses, and basically turn like ideas and thought into reality on a computer screen. I share this to say that there are multiple outcomes from learning to code. You might land a developer job, or you might use coding as a springboard into tech entrepreneurship, product management, data analysis. Who knows? Keep an open mind about where this journey could take you. Right? Success is not like one size fits all, but whatever your goal is, you have to earn it through effort, and that's where the bootcamp's promise and reality needs a closer look. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room here, which is the hype. Coding bootcamps often sell the dream of a $100,000 software engineering job in just 3 months. You've probably seen the ad somewhere before, and to be blunt, some of that is marketing exaggeration. Yes, bootcamp graduates can and do get high-paying jobs, but it requires a lot of hard work, talent, timing, and a little bit of luck as well. There's no magic pill here. Here's the dream scenario that's marketed. You join an intense program, you learn full stack web development or data science or UI UX design, something like that. You build some projects, and immediately companies line up to hire you because there's such a shortage of tech talents. A few years back, this doesn't sound so crazy. Tech was booming and employers were hungry for coders. Now, the reality check this year, the tech job market has gotten competitive. We've seen some high profile layoffs in big tech companies recently. And at the same time, more and more people have learned to code through bootcamps, through online courses and whatnot. In other words, the supply of junior developers has gone way up. And some would argue that the demand has cooled off a little bit as well, at least for entry-level roles. In fact, a recent Reuters report highlighted that some coding bootcamps are struggling to place graduates. One bootcamp in the US saw its student job placement rate within 6 months drop from 83% in 2021 to just around 40% for its 2023 cohort. That means that a lot of folks were left without that shiny new dev job half a year after graduating. And one frustrated bootcamper told Reuters that they sold a fake dream of a great job market. Those are harsh words, right? But it was his experience after spending around $20,000, $30,000 on a coding bootcamp and not landing a job. I'm not telling you this to kind of scare you off, but I'm telling you so you go in with your eyes wide open. So you need to make sure if you do a bootcamp, you come up with genuine coding skills and projects to prove it. One more reality check is AI, artificial intelligence. We can't avoid this topic. It's in this year, AI is all the rage and it's everywhere. You might be wondering if AI can code, will they even need human coders anymore? It's a valid concern. AI coding tools like GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, etc., they have gotten really good at generating code. Some people claim that AI is eliminating a lot of junior level coding tasks, which used to be foot in the door for new developers. Even tech thought leaders are saying that entry level coding roles are fewer now because one experienced dev with AI can do so much more work today. They can do the work of several juniors. The Reuters piece that I mentioned quoted an investor saying that AI is the nail in the coffin for coding bootcamps. Yikes, right? So is it game over? Personally, I don't think so, but I do agree that the game has changed. In my opinion, learning to code is still incredibly valuable if you understand how to adapt and position yourself. AI is a tool, a powerful one. And today, a good developer isn't one who can crank out basic CRUD applications the fastest, and AI can probably do that too. A great developer in this era is someone who knows which problems to solve, how to break down complex projects, how to integrate different systems, and how to leverage AI to handle repetitive tasks while they focus on creative and critical parts of the system. In other words, you need to level up your problem solving and project building skills. The fundamentals of computer science, how code works, how systems interact, how algorithms work are more important than ever, so you can work with AI tools effectively. I know that it's not game over because I am working actively with hundreds of students. I'm working with hiring partners, and there is still such a strong demand, right? Development and building does not stop just because AI comes in. It is table stakes today, right? Whatever access you have, your competitors have as well. So everybody has that access. It's still now a matter of who can build cheaper, better, faster for the users relative to your competitor, right? Bootcamps are evolving too. I see many programs now incorporating AI topics, or at least teaching students how to use AI assistants in coding rather than fear AI. And despite the doom and gloom from some American or United States perspectives, globally, the bootcamp model is far from that. I think it is the future. In fact, I genuinely think that bootcamps or any form of output-based, project-based learning is going to be the future. With AI coming in, jobs are going to be displaced across the board in every industry, in every jobs. People will be more likely to look for new jobs and start new careers. And right now, the only kind of path they have is either self-learn themselves or go to university university again, which, by the way, we can talk about the success rates of university graduates as well, right? It's not good. So yeah, coming back to tech bootcamps, I personally believe in the bootcamp model, but today's topic is going to be primarily on coding bootcamps. So let's come back to this, right? In fact, the number of people using tech coding bootcamps for upskilling or reskilling has been skyrocketing worldwide, from under 20,000 students in 2015 to about 100,000 in 2021, and an estimated 380,000 people by this year. That's a huge growth. And why? Why is this happening? Because companies everywhere still need tech-skilled employees, and universities alone are not filling that gap. A World Economic Forum report suggests that 23% of all jobs will change by 2028 due to new technology, and employers are filling the tech skills gap. 70% of US business leaders say that there's a significant skills shortage in their workforce, and bootcamps, when done right, can actually help close that gap by quickly producing job-ready talents. Nobody has time to spend $100,000 and wait for 4 to 5 years for a job-ready talent, right? So let's also talk outcomes and ROI, return on investment. Do bootcamp graduates actually get jobs and decent salaries? The data says generally yes, but with caveats. A comprehensive survey done by Cost Report found that about 79% of coding bootcamp graduates were employed full-time in a job requiring the skills that they learned within about 1 to 6 months of a post-bootcamp. And on average, those graduates were making around $70,000 in their first jobs per year. And this is an average across various countries and currencies, and that's actually higher than what the average fresh college graduate makes in the US. Plus, bootcamp alumni tend to see significant salary growth as they gain experience, many reporting 50+% salary increases from their pre-bootcamp jobs. And importantly, employers' attitudes towards bootcamp graduates have warmed up today. One report noted about 69% of employers felt that bootcamp graduates were just as effective as other hires. So the idea of a bootcamp can work out. Spend, say, $20,000 in Sigma School, we charge around $4,000 and a few months. Spend that time, and by the way, we're charging like 20% of what others are charging for the same value. Think about it. Spend that time and money for a few months and get a job that pays, for example, $70,000 a year, depending on where you are in your country, where you are in the world, and boom, you've recouped your investment in short order and changed your life. Many people have done exactly that, but your mileage may vary. No one is going to hand you a job just because you've done a bootcamp and you have a certificate. You have to grind for it. I often tell my students, no coding bootcamp will give you a job. They'll give you the skills and the support, but you must earn that job yourself. In fact, Cost Report advises students to be ready to hustle on the job search and treat it like a continued part of the bootcamp experience, which is something that we provide at Sigma School. After our students graduate for the next 1 year, we do provide support if needed to the students to get a job. All right, so how do you maximize chances of success? What should you actually do if you decide to go this route? Here's time to put on our philosopher hat and break this down from first principles. I love first principles thinking. Shout out to role models like Elon Musk and Charlie Munger, who employ this actively in their day-to-day lives. It means boiling things down to the fundamental truths and building up from there rather than just accepting surface level assumptions. So the first principles question here is, why would someone hire a junior developer? For example, you, if you're watching this after a coding bootcamp. Fundamentally, a company hires you because you can solve a problem and deliver value that's worth more than what it takes for them to pay you. It's simple as that. If you can build a website or an app that customers love, or automate a tedious task to save time, that's value. If you can't yet, you need to develop that ability. So whether or not you go to a bootcamp, to college, or to self-study, your mission is the same. Gain the skills to solve real-world problems with technology and demonstrate those skills convincingly. There's no shortcut around that, whether or not you go to a bootcamp. A coding bootcamp essentially covers and offers a structured way to accelerate this process. Number one is the curriculum. They curate what you need to learn. For example, full-stack JavaScript curriculum might include HTML, CSS, JavaScript, front-end, React, Node, Express for the backend, databases, GCP for cloud. The idea is to avoid what should I learn next paralysis, right? What should I go and try Ruby or Python? Avoid that. Just focus on one structured path and stick to it. Okay. The next one would be practice. It's to get very, very hands-on to build projects, a lot of projects. It could be small assignments or big capstone projects, and this is crucial because building stuff is how you actually get good. You can watch tutorials all day, but until you struggle through coding something yourself, you won't internalize it. The next thing that people join bootcamps for would be the support. Think about instructors, teaching assistants, and peers that are there when you hit a wall. This is underrated. When self-studying, getting stuck on a bug for days can be demotivating motivating. In a bootcamp, you have someone to ask, hey, my code is doing X, any ideas? And you can get unblocked faster learning along the way. Number 4, and this is a big one, it's accountability. You have a structure, you have deadlines, you have a fixed learning time every day, you have projects due. It pushes you to be consistent. It's a lot like having a gym trainer yelling encouragement so you do that last rep. You push forward a little bit further. Sometimes we do need that external push, right? And finally, career services. Good bootcamps offer resume help, interview prep, and even networking or referrals. They might do mock interviews. They help polish your GitHub portfolio. They help connect you to alumni at companies. This can give you a leg up in the job hunt. So if we reduce it, you need skills plus proof of skills plus connections / confidence to get in the door. Bootcamps aim to provide all 3 in a compressed time frame, but you still have to put in the work to make this work. Just think of it like joining a really intense sports camp. You want to become, say, a pro boxer, for example, or you want to go run a marathon. The bootcamp is your coach, your daily training regime. They will make you sweat buckets in training. They'll teach you the technique to get you in shape, but you still have to actually do the workouts and go out there and compete in a real match. And if you slack off, no one can save you. I like to compare learning the code to one of my hobbies like boxing or running, because when you start boxing, you might get hit in the face, right? Because you dropped your guard, for example. And in coding, your punch in the face is a program that crashes or a feature that you just can't get to work. And it stings, right? But you learn from it. You keep your guard up, and in coding, maybe you learn to handle that error or to read documentation more carefully. With running, the first 2 km might leave you gasping, but a month later, 5 km is your warm-up. In the same way, at the start of a bootcamp, building a simple website feels like climbing Mount Everest. A few months in, you're comfortable building a full-stack application. It's about consistent progression, and bootcamp basically compresses that progression. It's like interval training on high intensity, basically. So ask yourself, am I ready to give in that level of effort? Because that's what it takes. If the answer is yes, then a bootcamp could be an amazing catalyst for you. So we touched on AI earlier, but let's dig a bit deeper because it's super relevant today, this year. AI is changing the nature of work. You've probably seen how tools like ChatGPT can write essays, solve coding problems, and even generate images. For coding specifically, there are AI co-pilots that can autocomplete code or even build simple apps from prompts. It's wild. Some people predict that in a few years, a lot of entry-level coding work, like churning out basic business websites or routine scripts, might be fully automated. Even some big tech companies and their CEOs have hinted that the demand for programmers might drop as AI gets more capable. Now, I'm not an alarmist. Historically, whenever new technology comes, it disrupts some jobs but creates others. AI will likely eliminate certain tasks, but also create new opportunities. For example, prompt engineering, figuring out how to tell an AI to do what you want is now a thing, right? Also, someone needs to build and maintain all these AI systems, integrate them into products, ensure they are ethical and efficient. That someone could be you if you're interested in it. These are all new roles out there, right? Lack of supply of people doing it. Go out there and explore if you position yourself right. From what I've seen, companies still need people who understand tech deeply. AI can help you write code, sure, but often it needs a human to guide it, to check it, to design the overall solution. Think of it like having a super fast but slightly unreliable junior developer at your side. You, as the human developer, becomes more of a team lead and architect for your AI teammate. And to do that well, you actually need stronger fundamentals, not weaker ones. Or you cannot just rely on the AI and just take whatever it gives you. You need creativity, you need to guide it, you need problem solving skills, and you need the ability to see the bigger picture. The best bootcamps out there that I've seen are starting to teach with this in mind. They encourage students to use AI as a tool, for example, to brainstorm solutions to get hints, but also to go under the hood and understand why the code works and why it does not. This way, you're not just learning the code, you're learning to think like a developer, which is future-proof. Also, the tech industry is not just Silicon Valley software engineering jobs. This year, look, every industry is becoming a tech industry. Healthcare, finance, education, government, they all need software, they all need data analysis, they all need cybersecurity and more. So while pure coding roles might evolve, there's a growing need for tech-savvy people in all sorts of roles. Bootcamp graduates are not just becoming app developers. Some of them have become data analysts. Some of them are going into product management, QA engineers, or launch their own startups. The skill sets that you gain can open many doors, and relevance today is about being adaptable and continuously learning. If you view a bootcamp as the start of your learning journey and not the end, you will be in good shape. In the age of AI, the mindset of never stop learning is you're going to be your biggest asset. Trust me on that. Let's say you've thought about it through and you're leaning towards doing a coding bootcamp. How do you choose the right one and make sure you're getting the most value out of it? Here are some concrete things and tips that I've learned, sometimes the hard way, right? The first one would be to do your homework on the bootcamp, but not all bootcamps are created equal. Some are fantastic with dedicated instructors and a supportive alumni network, and others are basically money grabs with fancy marketing. Look for outcomes data. Reputable bootcamps often publish publish their job placement rates. Some are part of CIRR, the Council of Integrity in Results Reporting, which audits these stats and read reviews from graduates. Hop on LinkedIn and find alumni and ask them honestly about their experience. A good bootcamp should have nothing to hide. As a potential customer, you have the right to ask tough questions like what's the salary that your graduates usually get? How much time do your graduates take before landing a job? Can I talk to a recent graduate? If they dodge these questions, it's usually a red flag. Next thing would be to consider the cost and financing wisely. Bootcamps are not cheap. The average tuition is about 10 to 20,000 US dollars. Some are higher, some are lower. For Sigma School, we are way lower because we're based in Malaysia. We're giving global level education quality for a Malaysian price, right? So you could consider us for around 4,000 US dollars, plus factor in the living expenses if you're doing it full time and not working. So there is an opportunity cost here because you could have been working as well. And for 3 months to 6 months, you will be incomeless if you are not working, right? So some bootcamps offer income sharing agreements or deferred tuition where you pay after you get a job, which sounds great, but make sure to always read the fine print and the crazy interest rates. You don't want to end up paying 60,000 US dollars after graduating, right? That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of money. So for us, what we do is we say we give you a money back guarantee. So you do have to pay us first, and then we give you a money back guarantee to make sure that we both have skin in the game for this to work. So don't cripple yourself with debt if you can avoid it. Plan out your finances, say 6 to 9 months to be safe for bootcamps and for job hunt. If you think about it, 6 to 9 months is nothing compared to a 4-year university. Just think about it, right? The last thing you want is to be panicking about money when you're trying to learn. And I've seen people try to juggle a bootcamp and a part-time job, and it's brutal. If at all possible, save up or find a way to fully focus on the program. It's a short-term sacrifice that pays off if you do it right. Next would be to set realistic expectations and goals. From day one, know that you're not guaranteed a job at graduation. You should realistically expect that it might take you a few months after the bootcamp to land something. Course report says it's on average 3 to 6 months post bootcamp, and I completely agree. Use that as a motivation to hustle. I'm going to talk about what you can do after the bootcamp, after your 3 months, what you need to do on a day-to-day basis, because that's where the journey actually starts, right? The bootcamp is the start of your learning journey, not the end. So I'm going to do another video on this to talk about how you can maximize your chances in your job search and you maximize your learning abilities, continue building and learning after a bootcamp. Coming back to the point, your first job may not be companies like Google or some unicorn startup, and that's completely fine because it could be a smaller company or a contract role. The key is to get your foot in the door first and get some real work experience on your resume. And that first job, even if the pay isn't sky high, it's your launch pad. So appreciate it. In 2 years, things can change a lot. Bootcamp graduates often see their salaries jump in subsequent jobs as they prove themselves. So yes, go for that role, assuming it's a good role. Next would be to embrace the grind during a bootcamp. Treat the bootcamp like a full-time job or more. I'm talking immersive focus. If it's a 9 to 5 class schedule, clear your evenings for coding practice or reviewing what you need. Weekends, you're basically going to be spending them building something fun or reinforcing tough topics. The students who succeed are usually the ones who go the extra mile. They don't just do the bare minimum to pass the assignments, they push further. Remember, you're trying to cram years of knowledge into months. It's going to be intense, but as one of my favorite writers, James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, would remind us, it's the daily consistent actions that compound over time, and in bootcamp, every day counts. Next would be to build stuff that actually matters. Your portfolio matters a lot. I have another whole video on this. And simply put, by the end of the bootcamp, you ideally have 2 to 3 portfolio projects that you can show off. Don't just treat them as a school assignment to get a grade. Nope. Think of them as your products. Put them on GitHub, deploy them if possible, so you can send a link and someone can just click on it and see it and try it out. If you can solve a real world problem or at least simulate one, even better. For example, instead of yet another to-do list app, maybe you can build a small tool that your friends actually use, or a clone of a popular service but with your own twist. These projects are what employers will look at to gauge your skills. I've hired developers, and trust me, seeing a live project or code sample tells me way more than a certificate. Next would be to use career services and network. A good bootcamp have people whose whole job is to help you get a job. Resume workshops, mock interviews, hiring fairs. Take full advantage of these things. Don't be shy about networking. Let everyone know you're a new developer looking for opportunities. Connect with alumni on LinkedIn. Bootcamp graduates tend to be friendlier to other bootcamp graduates, and since they've been through it together, also attend meetups or join online communities, even if they're virtual. Sometimes who you know or just being in the right community can make a huge difference. One introduction from an alumnus to a recruiter can cut to the front of the line. And finally would be to keep on learning after the bootcamp ends, right? When the bootcamp ends, it might feel like school is out, but in reality, that's when you become your own teacher. That's when the real learning begins. Continue coding every single day, even if it's for small challenges or improvements on your projects. Learn new technologies that complement what you've learned. For instance, if you did a web development bootcamp, maybe pick up TypeScript next and dive a bit into cloud deployment, or go deeper into Redux for React, right? This not only improves your skills, it also keeps you sharp and for technical interviews. It also helps you fight off that post bootcamp slump that most people face, that sometimes happen when you suddenly lose the daily structure or class. Treat your job hunt as a job. Set daily goals, for example, X number of applications, Y number of networking messages, and Z hours of coding practice each day. Persistence is key. Many of my students who landed jobs told me they got rejected like over 50 times, hundreds of times before that one yes came. But all it takes is one yes. And finally, let's talk a bit about mindset. You gotta always be humble and open to feedback. A good bootcamp will humble you anyway. You realize how much there is to learn. And yeah, trust me, that feeling actually doesn't go away in tech. There's always so much to learn. Embrace that. One of my role models, his name is David Heinemeier Hansen, I think, the creator of Ruby on Rails. He said in a recent interview that despite all the AI helpers, there's still joy and value in hands-on coding and solving problems for yourself and writing beautiful code. That kind of craftsman mindset, enjoying the challenge of coding for its own sake, that will carry you through the tough debugging nights. Trust me on that. I remember that feeling too. So I completely understand what you're saying. So remember why you're doing this. Is it for a better life for your family? Is it because you love building things? Is it because you are attracted to the lure of remote work so you can travel and live wherever you want? Whatever that may be, keep that North Star in mind when the going gets tough. In my case, I'm motivated by the impact that I can make today. I took my bootcamp business from a scrappy startup in 2020 to a stable, profitable operation in 2023, and we've helped over 100 students land job in tech. And I even reached a point where I could relax a little bit today because of the systems and the team that are running things smoothly. We've been running on a 70% profit margin, which is almost unheard of in most businesses, by keeping costs low and by ensuring business fundamentals are sound. A tip that I learned from role models like Jason Fried are about running lean businesses, right? But I realized that I'm not in this just to coast. I'm still young and I'm hungry and I want to make a bigger impact. So now I'm reinvesting into growth. I'm improving the curriculum. I'm adding AI-focused modules. I'm hiring more mentors because I want our students to thrive in this new tech landscape. My personal goal is to help create thousands of success stories and prove that with the right approach, anyone can break into tech. If you join a bootcamp, find instructors and mentors who have the passion for teaching and seeing you win. It matters so much. You're not just learning the code. You're learning from people so that their attitude and their values will rub off on you. So finally, the conclusion here is, if you've stuck with me, this far, it means you're pretty serious about this. And I respect that a ton. And by now you should have a clear picture that a coding bootcamp is not an easy button or a guaranteed ticket. It's more like a high intensity bootstrap journey to transform your career. It will challenge you in many ways that you maybe haven't even been challenged before. There will be days you doubt yourself. I certainly did. I still do sometimes, to be honest, but there will always be moments of triumph, like the first time you solve a bug that's been haunting you, or when you deploy an app and people actually use it. Those highs make all the lows worth it. Trust me. Remember, the decision is ultimately yours. Take the first principles that we discussed before. You need the skills, you need the proof, you need the value to offer. If a bootcamp is the right vehicle for you to get those, then awesome. If you think you can achieve it another way, maybe you're super disciplined with self-study and you decide on a university program, that's fine too, right? There's no one size fits all to success. What matters is that you take action toward your goal of breaking into tech. So considering a coding bootcamp this year, now you know what it really takes. And if you do it with your eyes open and do it with a full heart. Don't go back. Once you sign up for it, just go all out for it. Commit to the journey, and you could look back in a year amazed at how far you've come. That's what all my students tell me, right? On day one, they're like coming in like little babies, don't know how to code at all. By the end of the 3 months, they're building full-fledged, full-stack applications, launching their own startups, and everyone tells me how their life transformed after the bootcamp, and that is something that I strive for every day. The tech world in this era still has plenty of room for new innovators and builders. Whether you become a software engineer, a tech entrepreneur, or just use coding to level up in another field, the skills you gain will be relevant for years to come, even in the age of AI. Yep, so thanks for listening to me, my story, my insights. I hope this has helped you clarify a few of your next steps. Tech has changed my life and many others, and it can change yours too, but you have to go out there and make it happen. And a bootcamp is just one of the catalysts that can make it happen much faster with a higher probability of success. So good luck, and maybe I'll see you on the other side as a fellow coder after this, right? So yep, I think that's all I have for today. Have a good one. See ya.